at the time I came out, everybody I knew was politically active. It just seemed to be the right time for politics and right time to fight for who you are. And frankly, at that time, if you wanted to be part of any group, if you wanted to meet anybody, the place to meet it was in political groups. I was part of a group called Gay Youth Toronto, and then was one of the founders of the Binational Gay Youth Coalition. It was part of life back then because everybody was struggling. Everybody wanted to change the way things were. And now that things have changed so much that I feel like I'm really lucky because I've gotten everything I've wanted. I don't feel like I don't feel like I don't have to hide myself anymore, hide who I am. It's just at work, it's pretty well always been known that I'm gay. I sort of started working just about the same time at the museum, just about the same time I was coming out. And there were a lot of shocked faces, I think, because in those days people just weren't accustomed to it. And there was a lot of, you could see in people's eyes when the penny dropped. And it was just like, got this kind of like, oh, okay, kind of look, that look of horror, because you were something totally different. And they didn't know how to react. You were always gay people back then were aliens. And all of a sudden they realized the aliens were among them. And then they grew comfortable with it. So my political side went from being carrying placards to just representing myself as I was, and by not making a big deal of it. And again, I'm very lucky because it's a big city, and it's easy. I have this feeling it's much easier if you are in a big town.
Yeah, and we've talked about sort of the idea that sexuality is like it's a culture in a way. So if you're in a heterosexual community and you have somebody who is perceived as homosexual coming into the community, it's a cross-pollination of two cultures, and there's assumptions about that lifestyle, there's assumptions about who those people are. And Pete was using the example of going to work. Now when I go to his office, if he comes out from a day at work, we can kiss each other comfortably in front of his coworkers and just a, hey, good to see you kiss. And people don't raise an eyebrow. They've become accustomed to who we are because when they see us, they don't see us as being gay people. They see us as being friends, or I'm Pete's partner, and we're sort of integrated now. But certainly that was something that wasn't always the case. And interestingly enough, the very first time Pete came home to Calgary, and there was a big discussion about how my family would deal with the fact that we had said that the rules for engagement in terms of Pete coming home, it was their roof, it was their house. And so if they wanted us to sleep in separate rooms, that was fine. Or if they wanted us to sleep together, that was fine. It was their decision.
They had a rule that if you were not married, you did not.
So that was one of the big things with my brother and sister. Prior to when they were married, they weren't allowed, and we were not married. So we came home, and my father, who was probably more resistant to the idea that he had a gay son than my mother, firmly took the luggage, both of our luggage, and with intention walked us down to our room and placed the luggage on the floor and said, "This is your room," and walked away. I have no idea what that cost him, but I know that for me was the moment of he'd accepted Pete as, well, this is the situation, and so I accept you. And they have always accepted Pete as a part of the family. It's and likewise, your family has been very accepting of me.
My father, who never truly accepted the fact that I was gay, and we had a lot of arguments about it between the two of us, and there was a lot of friction between my father and I. Whenever I brought a friend home, I was living on my own, but whenever I brought a friend back to the family home for a dinner or a special event or something like that, my dad would always treat them with incredible respect. And that blew me away because I knew that he didn't accept it, but he knew he just didn't want to embarrass me or embarrass the family. And so I really respected him for that. And in spite of the fact he never accepted me.